Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about 3I Atlas in detail. So last time I have made some conclusions, but I didn't fully explain why I made these conclusions. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more. It's going to be really hard to explain every detail. This like I Ching system is too complicated, but I will try to explain the most simple parts so you can basically understand why I made these conclusions. So if you look at this chart today, I'm going to only look at the one palace, which is called the Xun Palace. Why I analyze this first is because in the chart, there are different information, like the arrow, the circle and arrow, that part. It indicates that this part is the most important of all in this chart. So I'm going to analyze this one. This one is called Xun Palace. So this area is called a palace, and this palace is called Xun. Xun is literally translated as wind, and also it has wood nature. Wait, there's one thing I forgot to mention. So the wind element is also representing information industry. So when you're combining the wind element with the roaring snake, and also the block gate, which I mentioned later, is about technology, is about spying. So when you combine all the things together, it definitely means something that is prying, something that is like acting like a spy, and is trying to get some information. So when you combine these elements together, you will make a final conclusion about the 3I Atlas, about the nature of itself. It's it acts like a spy to get some information, and it has some technology inside to help it to get some information. If you are familiar with traditional Chinese like 5-element theory, you will understand that wind is directly related to wood nature. Like something has wood nature, something has fire nature, and then something has water nature. It's quite similar to tarot cards, because in tarot cards there are different elements as well, like a water sign, and the fire sign and wind sign. It's quite similar to that. Okay, so now let's look at the inside information. What's inside this palace? Roaring snake, celestial radiance, young metal, young fire, block gate. So if you're not familiar with this, I can put it simply. These are just symbols, right? Like when you are seeing olive branches, you will understand it means peace, right? When you see we'll see some like symbols like a fish, you can understand it represents like when you're seeing a cross, it represents Jesus in certain context. So it's just symbols, right? But in our like traditional Chinese culture, traditional divination, it may have different meanings compared to what people understand in another culture. So the roaring snake in Chinese culture means like something that changes its shape, and also it can mean something fake. It can mean something that is giving a false image or false information. So basically, if you combine like the wind nature, the wood nature of this object, and the roaring snake attribute of this object, it can indicate that 3I Atlas is something that can change its shape. So it does not have a regular shape. It can change its shape all the time, and also it can give people a false image of what it really looks like. So it means it has cloaking technology, definitely, and it has a higher technology to change its shape, to give people a false image, and also it can change its roots, because a snake, like how does a snake walk around? You can understand what that means. And now let's look at the celestial radiance. So this means something that is very bright and very attractive, bright. It is radiating like a light, something like that. So because it belongs to the fire elements. You can look at the color, because the color, I specifically write them down. I specifically type them in different colors because that's easier for people to understand. So the green color means wood nature, the red one means fire nature, and then the yellow one means earth nature. So that's easier for you to understand. So celestial radiance definitely has fire nature together with roaring snake. So both roaring snake and the celestial radiance are of fire nature. So what does they mean? What does they mean? They mean that this object is having some energy system inside. It is, or at least it's looking like there's some energy on the outside, because clearly based on some scientific findings, the outside surface, if I remember correctly, the outside of the 3i atlas is radiating with fires or some kind of energies or something burning on the outside. I'm not so sure what that is, but anyway, there's definitely some energy system or fires inside or outside. But let's look at the word dead. What does that mean? Dead indicates the energy level, like how strong the level is, how strong the energy is of that object. So celestial radiance but is dead means this thing was very active before, but now it's not so active. That's why last time I made the conclusion that this object was actively used by certain people, certain civilizations before, but now it's no longer in use, or it hasn't been used for a really long time. Okay, it belongs to a dead civilization. You can even decipher that way. It belongs to a dead civilization. Okay, now let's look at the block gate. Block gate, as it literally indicates, it is not moving at the moment, or it seems to be moving. Of course it is moving, but the thing is, this thing is no longer functioning as usual, as before. So this thing is definitely not performing at its best. It's like sleepwalking. Like, it is moving, of course, but it is not really functioning like normal. It is just moving around without being aware that it is moving around. So that is what block gate mean. That is the meaning of block gate. But the block gate has a strong energy level. You can see the word strong. The strong indicates that block gate is having a very strong influence on this object. And also block gate means something technical. So it means this object is highly advanced. It definitely has some technical skills or technical craftsmanship or something technology related inside. Okay, then let's look at the yang metal and the yang fire. So in traditional Chinese divination or traditional Chinese philosophy, there's yin and yang, right? The yang means something that is acting actively, because if you are just responding to the outside or just acting passively to something else, it's not yang, it's a yin, right? But yang means something that is actively performing or actively moving around. So you can see that two symbols, this yang metal and the yang fire, these two symbols are both suggesting that this object is moving actively. This object is not just responding to the outside world passively, it is acting actively. And then the metal and the fire, you can see when there's metal element, it means something has metal in it. And also something has a mechanical stuff in it. And when you combine the yang metal and the block gate, you can see that this object definitely has some technical design or intelligent design inside. And also in Qimeng, there is different combinations have different meanings. So the yang metal, when it's compared with the yang metal, when it is combined with yang fire, it means that a thief that is visiting your home and that is 100% visiting your home. It's quite sure it is going to visit you. So, and also I want to mention that block gate is often related to people who are like police, who are soldiers and warriors, people who are spies. Yeah, it could indicate professions like spies. So when you're combining block gate, when you are combining block gate with young metal and young fire, you can see that this object is very actively doing something. It's acting like a spy, like a thief that is visiting your home. And it has these technical skills to attack. Why I'm saying that it has the skills to attack someone or some civilization? Because metal, young metal in Chinese, gong, is often related to thief, and also it's related to someone who is like gang members, and someone who is very warrior-like. It can mean someone who is able to attack someone else. So when you're combining all the information together, this object can move around actively. It has some technical skills or metals or some intelligent design inside, and also it means it can change its shape. And also it could be able to morph as well. I don't know how I don't know the design of it, but it seems like this object can morph into different objects, different shapes, because the wind elements, the wood elements, means that it is something very creative, and also it has no shape at all. It can change at its will. And lastly, I want to mention that this object is related to power as well, because when you see the young fire is often related to powers and the superpowers. For example, in this world, we can see America is a young fire, which means America is like the most powerful nation on this planet. We can say that certain president is young fire of a nation, because young fire is like because young fire has the highest power, so it can indicate a person who is so powerful. And also when you see young fire with crown symbol, crown means the energy level of young fire. If you don't know what that is, I will show you in this photo. So you can see that there are like 12 different stages for the heavenly stems, which means that the energy level are different for some symbols. For example, if a symbol has burst energy, it means it's just very small energy, right? It's not really that powerful enough. But if one symbol has prosperity level of energy, then it is at its highest level of energy. So when it's declining, we will see its decline, and then when the energy finally goes away, we will say extinction. Okay, so when something extinct, it will go into the next cycle, which means something will start again. It's like a reincarnation cycle of something. It's not just happening for our humans, but also happening on everything in this world. So young fire means something that is powerful, that has official power. Because when you see young fire with crown, it means something that is approaching its maximum power. So 3i Atlas currently is approaching its maximum velocity or maximum power. Not yet, but currently it's at like, if I give it a very statistical prediction, I would say that 3i Atlas right now is functioning at let me have a look. 60%. Yeah, it is now functioning at 60% of its maximum velocity, maximum speed, maximum power. So probably in the next few months, it will accelerate and perform like at a higher speed, at a higher velocity. I don't know, but right now it's not at its highest power. And you can see that the young metals indicates that it's still nourishing, which means that even if this 3i Atlas object has a weapon system, the weapon system is not functioning at the moment. It is nourishing. What does it mean? It is nourishing. It means this system is trying to recover. It's trying to pick up all the signals from the universe. It's trying to figure out what is going on around itself. So it's not really actively doing anything. It is like moving around, that's for sure, but it is not actively attacking. It's not attacking, but it's trying to pick up every information it can get, try to recover its system, try to recover its ability or capability to do anything. That is why it's approaching the sun. I guess he's trying to pick up some energy level, to recover its system, to return to its original level, like original level of strength, original level of energy. I don't know what that is, but it's trying to recover and trying to pick up all the useful information, useful energy to accelerate. That is what I get from this chart, from this palace at the moment. So that's all for today's analysis. In future, if I'm available, I will now analyze the rest of the information I get from this chart. Okay, that's all. Bye.